it made people stand up and take notice, didn't it, a little bit, I think, in that respect, which was really good. Right, hello happy campers. Can you tell what bike I'm on today? Something a little bit different. Well, yes, alright, you probably guessed it. I'm on the Guerrilla, the Enfield Guerrilla. And the reason I'm on this bike today is actually because of a couple of my subscribers. So we've got Mike and that, and they've got these bikes. And I did test one of these very early on in the channel, actually. And it was quite when these actually came out, and I always thought it was a very interesting foray for Enfield, because this bike was like nothing else that they'd ever built, isn't it? In terms of, you know, it wasn't based on anything classic. It was very different. I'm gonna put my lid down. It was very different, wasn't it? And I always wondered really how successful this bike would be, and whether it would catch on, particularly in the UK. And you know, as time's gone on, and particularly with my subscribers, you know, it's a very popular bike with you guys. And I think it's another one of those sort of bikes that when you've got it, you know it's a good bike. You've got to own it to know how good it is. You know, I think a test ride doesn't really always give you what you want. So I thought, right, I'm going to come out on the Guerrilla. And my lovely friends at Absolute Moto, because they are looking at my Meteor for me because of the engine light. Gosh, steaming up. You wouldn't believe how cold and foggy it is this morning. It really is foggy this morning. Because they're having a look at the Meteor for me, I said, look, can I take the Guerrilla out? They said, yes, no problem. So lovely there. If you're ever in Périgord, this part of the country of France, you know, go and see Absolute Moto, and they've got a fantastic selection of bikes. So do go and see them, because they've been really lovely to me. So Antoine's having a look at the Meteor for me. But I thought, right, let's get out on the Guerrilla and just have a look. And you know what? What's really lovely about getting on this bike, I like the idea of revisiting a bike that you looked at some time ago and just seeing if your thoughts on it were the same. The thing with this bike immediately is that it's like no other Enfield. You're not on it's not just a platform bike, is it? And by that I mean, you know, it's not just sharing a chassis and everything like everything else. It's sort of on its own, this bike, and it's got a real distinct feel, and I really like that. I think the interesting thing about this bike was, though, when it came out with on the sort of Sherpa engine platform, my thought always was with that Sherpa was that once the new 450 Himalayan came out, the next logical thing was to bring a new Scram out, and they didn't do that. You know, this little puppy came out, which I was sort of surprised. I thought, oh, well, what the hell's that? You know, and I think that's what initially put the down on it for me with this bike, was because it just wasn't what I wanted. It's always what I want. You know that, everybody. So I think I looked down on it a little bit disparagingly, which wasn't the right thing to do. I think I should have taken it in complete isolation. And of course, subsequently, I'm going to put my lid down. Subsequently, we had the Bear 650 come out, which sort of filled that scrambler gap, didn't it? Now, I think there is still a market for a Scram. And in India they actually brought out a 440 Scram, didn't they, on the old platform, the 411 sort of style platform, which is quite interesting. And we don't see that in the UK. I'd love to get my hands on one of those, just see what it's actually like, and if it performs better than the 411, or how it performs. But yeah, so we ended up with the Guerrilla, and over the period of time, it's gathered a little army of followers, and people like it. It's an easy bike to get on with, isn't it? It's not too tall, and it feels much lighter than all the other Enfields to me, even though they're still using that sort of, iron frame, I suppose you might call it. It just feels a lot lighter and a lot more manageable than anything else that Enfield have. So let's go and have a look around the bike and just pick out some of the things that I like about it. And there's some areas in this bike I really love, I think are great. And one of those is the rear view. I always like, a bike should look good from all angles. There's no point in half doing a bike, and if you're going to look at your bike when you're walking away from it, it might as well look good from the back, mightn't it? And this really does. So let's go and have a look at the bike. Come on, we're gonna go to the locomotive and have a little look at the bike. Come on. So here we are back with the Guerrilla, and what a cracking bike, and I like this colour. There's a couple of bikes that were sent to me, some of the images for My Life subsection, and I think it's Mike Hurley had the blue one with those fantastic blue wheels, and another one of the subscribers sent me one with a picture of his bike, and I believe it's this colour, and it's really nice. And it's the one thing I liked about the Guerrilla when it came out, though, was that the great choice of colours they did. And Enfield always get their colouring right. They're really bold with their colours, and it always. I think I mentioned this before at the time. If you wanted a Kawasaki, it was green, wasn't it? And this sort of stuff, and you think, God, people want, colours which are in vogue at the time, and Enfield are not shy in doing that. They're prepared to go and really look at what the market wants and go for it, and I think they do it better than anybody else. And I think, apart from custom shop bikes, which people like Triumph might do, I think Enfield paint their bikes as good or as better than anybody. They really got it down to a fine art. So the Guerrilla itself, it just has a particular look to it, doesn't it? And it wasn't like anything else. And I've seen other companies try and copy this since, because I think CF Moto copied this bike as well. The look of this bike. But the thing with this one, I think you're riding a good sized bike or a proper sized bike, but it doesn't feel cumbersome in any way. It feels like a very modern bike. And this is, on the ride round, I talked about, how Enfield, I think, have to be careful they don't get left behind in the sort of as bikes become more modern. We get these modern classics, and I think we might end up moving away completely from a real classic, if you know what I mean. It's going to feel, we're going to have modern interpretations of it. And I think with this Sherpa engine, which I think is a great engine, I think it, as I said again on the ride around, it pulls in every gear. You can get it from relatively slow speeds, and it'll keep pulling all the way up to sort of, I think I used to do this test rides. I'm doing a 45 up to 60 in the sort of third, fourth, fifth, sixth gears, and the Sherpa was always the best at doing that. It always pulled really strongly all the way through, which was really, really nice. It's got a nice reach to it for me. I'm not tall by any stretch, I haven't got long arms or anything. I think I'm fairly average. This isn't quite average, but fairly average. And I think it does. It's a bike that would suit most people. And as Gez and I said earlier, that I think this will suit lady riders as well very much. But I like the profile of the tank. It's got that nice profile to the tank, the nice sort of like shoulders on there. And I like the blacked out look. And the advantage of this bike, and again this engine, we've got a relatively small radiator, which means to me that the bike doesn't run that hot. When you look at something that's things like the new Bantam, you know, that engine I think maybe runs quite hot where you get the fan cutting in. You don't have that problem with this. And it's very similar to that Reju that I took out, where that doesn't run hot either. You know, the engine is well engineered and well sorted. And when you think that these bikes are used in hot climates like India, you know, they don't have any problems. And I think Enfield have been really clever in that, in making an engine which will cope with all conditions, really. But let's have a look at a couple of details in this bike that I really like. So as usual, you know, the painting on Enfield is just fantastic. And so I've said this again before, whoever does their design really deserves all the accolades, because they're so clever with their styling. I like the way the seat curves. This, again, it's a really comfy seat. The width of the seat is so important. I like the way they do these little styling cues like that. They keep the line going. They didn't have to do that, did they? They could have just left that black, but they didn't. They just added that extra because they know how to fit it. When you look at the new Enfield Goen, you know, they know design. They know what works. Little touches make a huge difference. We have the really nice dash on here. I like the Enfield. I think this is lovely. And you can change the fascia on these. So you're going to get some flickering here, but you can change that. But also you can also link it to your phone and you put your navigation in there. I mean, wasn't it great to have it round? One thing I will say though, and it was something that I noticed on Mike's bike when I saw the pictures. He's got his, I think it looks something like an Aochi or something unit here. And you can't see that, but it actually works. When you got, they could have also got away with putting a square dash on there, and it would actually really work. Switch gear is excellent, as usual. You find an Enfield. I like the grips on here as well. That textured grip is really nice. Again, decent, wide, long levers. It gives you more mechanical advantage. It makes it easier to pull, and that's got a really nice weight to it, the clutch on here. The other thing I always thought was really important, and I said this before, is that it does look good from the back. Bikes should look good from all angles, you know, and it's one of those things that companies forget. You know, who wants to look at the back of the bike? Well, people do. You know, the rest of the public look at the back of a bike because you're always in front of them. So I think that looks really good from the back. And this is clever. This part here, although it's supporting the exhaust, it's changing the profile of the bike. So it's giving it a slightly wider stance. They didn't have to do that, but it's improved the styling of it. And it's given it a sort of interesting look. I like that. One thing they have got right on this bike is the side stand. It's at the right angle, so it's not upright. It's, I think, worse than an upright side stand. It does my head in, but they've got that right on this bike, and it's easy to find. Also, as I said, the radiator isn't that intrusive on this bike compared to some others, and it does have a fan. Obviously, we've got a fan in there, but it doesn't cut in. These bikes do not run hot. The Sherpa is not a hot running bike, even though it's going to have higher compression because it is water cooled. As common with all Enfields now, we've got this LED headlight system, which is fine, and I like this. You know, this is, a lot of people are doing this now, aren't they? This is nice because it's behind glass. Some of these are in front of the glass, aren't they? On some bikes, some manufacturers do that, but I like the way they do that. It's interesting, and I like the blacked out look. I like the blacked out look on their bikes. How the bike handles and feels, and it's just great. And I think the suspension is lovely. It's not harsh. Some of the Enfield bikes I've had over the years have been quite harsh, particularly things like the Hunter could be a little bit prickly, shall we say. But beyond that, I think it just works really nicely. I love the clock on this. You get two forms of clock on this, don't you? This one here is the one where I can put my connect to my phone and have the navigation on and all the rest of it, which is great. And I think that was such a great addition when they put it onto the Himalayan, the new one. It was a bit, it made people stand up and take notice, didn't it, a little bit, I think, in that respect, which was really good. Oh, the fog's clearing down here a little bit, thank God for that. But as a general ride, I just think it's just lovely. It's really lovely. And I'm in a nice position where I'm not leaning forward, leaning back. I'm just sort of comfy, really. And the seat's nice. I think the important thing with any seat to give you longevity when you're riding, it's got to be wide because it spreads the weight of your butt. And I think that's really, really important. So, you know, there's not an awful lot not to like about this bike, really. And I can see why it has so many fans, particularly, let's say, with my age group. And I think it works for anybody, really. You know, for lady riders, why wouldn't this work for lady riders? And I don't like separating lady from men riders. I don't think we need to do that. But sometimes, you know, when you make a recommendation, you sort of think, do you know, this would work for the lady rider. You know, particularly if it's someone's a little bit shorter, because it doesn't feel tall, this bike, and that's why I like it. And I think because of the leg position, because it's slightly more, the pegs are slightly further back, I think it'll just give a nice comfortable ride for ladies. Well worth thinking about. Well worth thinking about. Right, before I freeze to death, I'll put my lid back down. I've got to put my Saviour gloves on today because it is, damn, it's cold. But these are really nice, actually. I'm surprised these have worked so well. I'm going to take the bike back and see what's happened to the Meteor. It's probably in bits, isn't it? It's all in bits now. And take it from there. Right, thanks for joining me on the little jaunt on the Enfield Guerrilla. And it's been a pleasure actually getting back out on this bike. I've really enjoyed it, actually. Give it a little bit of the beans. What a cool bike. Right, I'll see you next time, everybody. Look after yourselves and please ride safe. And if it's foggy like this, I wouldn't bother going out. Take care, see you soon.